Oh, we got it here.
Mayor Bridge, we're doing a new format with our
Yes.
development processing, just for council's information. So what we did with these some applications, there was quite a number.
Yeah, a lot of.
As we convened a staff meeting with Public Works present and representatives of all the departments, and we had a discussion of each of the development proposals. So you see that these next ones are all recommendations to the county on the land severances that are before you, but we are also going to use it for the Tim Hortons site plan, which will be coming to you next meeting. So instead of doing a bunch of letters, and we're trying to call everyone together, have one meeting and get the comments for you all in one package. So this is our first crack at it here today.
And I think, which is Walker Street, the difference is that we used to send it out to everybody and everybody make comments. This one, I was sitting in, I think the first one you did, a lot better, because when you got the people at the table, you don't have to wait for a letter to come and there'd be so I think it's a lot better process going forward, because it gets things done, although it's hard to get everybody at a meeting, but it certainly moves the process a lot quicker, because if there is a question, somebody can answer it right away, like if Brian can answer the question for Terry, or Terry can answer a question for somebody. So I think it's a good format.
Mayor Bridge and Council, the first one for your consideration is the severance B1614 for Fred Murphy and Sons Limited. This property is on Walker Street in Palmerston. The severance would then create two lots. They would both have a frontage of 66 feet and a depth of 132 feet. During the meeting that CAO Clerk White was talking about, the Water and Sewer Foreman Wayne Metzger noted that funds for the water and sewer for this servicing has already been included in the 2014 budget. As well, the applicant will be required to pay their fair share for the servicing. Road Foreman Mike McIsaac noted that an entrance permits would be required at the time of the building permit issuance. Chief Building Official confirmed that the lots meet the minimum zoning requirements, and the CAO Clerk's Department said a servicing agreement will be required for cost sharing on the construction of the services for this area. The proposed services for this will benefit other landowners in the area as well, with the water and sewer system cost to extend these services being collected as a condition of the redevelopment of these other lands in the future. A $500 cash in lieu of parkland will apply, and frontage fees would not apply, as the applicant will be required to contribute to the cost of servicing the lots. As far as comments go, as long as the appropriate conditions are included in the county's approval of the application, the proposal seems to represent good planning as it allows for residential infilling. Our recommendation is stated on the report. It has 3 conditions, and a map is provided for you to look at.
Questions?
I'm sorry, I just want to get used to the new format. So this is basically the town of Minto has put this together. There's been no comments from Wellington County or...
The county did provide comments. They were included.
Okay, yeah, I saw those, okay.
Yes, okay, so theirs was included. It says it's consistent with the provincial policy and would conform to the official plan.
So it's
They're asking
basically
for
the
our
same thing,
information.
it will go to county from here, okay.
Is there any questions?
I guess more of a suggestion than a question. When we get a little map like this, it would be helpful for me anyway, because I'm not familiar with all the streets in even my own community. If we could have I think later in the meeting, there's a picture, or there's the actual site, and then there's a map that shows a larger area, so we know exactly where those lots are. To look at this, it's 2 lots on Walker Street. Queen Street's kind of there somewhere, and Mill Lane's there, and so I don't know if that's who does that.
This is what
I
we were
would've-
provided for by the county, but we can certainly include a larger map for you to look at. There is this one here that I have put up here for you, showing...
Where's their site?
Do you know where Stan Freeland lives?
Yeah, basically.
Show him where Stan's place is.
I don't know where Stan's place is.
there.
Here.
That is the lot here, is that correct, Carrie?
Yeah.
Right here?
That's our work.
That square right here is the lot that they're asking to be severed.
Yeah, we actually drove over to it, did it on Google Maps to find out where it is.
Yeah.
It would be nice.
Be nice, we can do that.
There was
We
some
talked
kind of
about that before, about having
Yeah.
like a Google map or something.
See, if you look at the next one, they've got a circle there, it's showing a larger area, and it makes it.
It shows a lot better,
So you know exactly where it is.
yes.
That's, I don't know.
I'll be sure to make sure that we include those in the next
Yeah,
ones,
that-
thank you.
That may be the surveyor's job, I don't know. These are all surveyors'
Yeah.
They're all
drawings or
surveyors'
permits, And so, I don't know if he's capable of doing that or not, but,
He would do that for the actual applicant or county, and it's not for us. It's for our use to bring forward to you, but it's as part of their application.
Especially you get into the township, I think,
Yes.
Well,
all of a sudden, if somebody says, first, second, side road of 8, and you go,
well, it's even something,
oh, you know, lot 920, or,
but even that is fine if we had something like that.
yeah.
Whether we do it on, have it on the screen here, but it'd be nice to have it in the package, because as you say, Terry, like, there was one further on here that I actually drove over to too, because I was kinda confused. And it just, it's nice to have it on a site.
You weren't confused, you were just
Yourself.
disoriented?
I was disoriented, right, and I just wanted to make sure I knew exactly where it was, but anyways, but, yeah. We can do that.
Yes, I'll make sure that's done. Is there any other questions?
Good.
So, Mayor Bridge, we need a motion on that recommendation.
Yep. Motion, Counselor Hamley, Counselor Caldwell, all in favor? Gotta get those hands up, get those hands moving. All right,
Thank you.
Okay.
Our next report is on severance B 1714 for H&H Gill Brothers. This property is on Main Street in Palmerston. Both parcels have roadway access. The proposed lot line adjustment would sever .172 hectare as a parcel with frontage of 75 feet and a depth of 250 feet. The original lot would retain 7.645 hectare with a frontage of 181.8 meters and a depth of 249.91 meters. The proposed usage of the retained lot is agriculture, and the severed property is an addition to another lot. Staff met to discuss, and the water and sewer foreman Wayne Metzger noted that the water and sewer servicing is in place, but only with a 5/8 or 3/8 inch service line. Road foreman Mike McCusick had no concerns. Chief building official confirmed that the proposal is part of a proposed subdivision development, and the proposed lot conforms with applicable zoning. Site plan approval will be required for the multiple dwelling to be constructed. And the CO Clerk's Department noted that council should consider comments of the County Planning Department regarding lot creation prior to a draft plan of subdivision. Cash in lieu of parkland of $500 can be collected as a condition of the severance, or it can be deferred until the subdivision agreement for the entire project. Frontage fees for the existing services up to $221 per meter can be collected as a condition of severance or negotiated in the subdivision agreement. Under comments, the only concern with taking a lot out at this time is whether another roadway access or some other land use may become apparent when the full development proceeds. Allowing this lot to be severed can decrease future flexibility on the rest of the lands. So as long as the appropriate conditions are included in the county's approval of the application, the overall proposal seems to represent good planning, as it allows for residential infilling that takes advantage of the existing services. Creating new rental housing is important to ensure that there's a variety of types of tenantures in the municipality. The recommendations are shown there with 3 conditions.
Counselor Faulkner has a question.
Yeah, I'm not sure who this should be directed to.
I'll direct it to somebody probably.
Okay. My concern is, like, I know this is a part of a subdivision plan, whatever. Where I have the question is, what do we need to do to make sure that this 5/8 or 3/8 inch line is big enough to service the subdivision? Because we're gonna do it, might as well do it now, right?
The service that Wayne had mentioned is actually the service that's existing to this site currently.
Exactly.
Not to the entire subdivision. So right at the front left corner is where the valve is.
So there's a bigger line behind that?
No. Basically, the service is right in that corner there now. It was there for a previous house that was demolished on it. The proposal is for that water line, and I don't think it's big enough as it is, to service just that multi-unit building, not the rest of the subdivision itself.
Okay,
just
so,
for that lot there.
so when the subdivision becomes a reality,
Yep.
that's when the bigger line will have to.
Yes, that will be, the installation of that, the streets, all the other services will be at the cost of the developer to service the rest of it. This one's kind of a unique one because it's actually outside of any like stormwater management issues with respect to the entire subdivision. It's gonna be, yeah, basically self-contained and directed on its own opposed to a typical stormwater management pond.
Other questions? The one good news thing is that we really need rental accommodation in Palmerston, so it does help that situation we get up and running.
But it is gonna be big enough to service that.
I'll make, it
Yeah.
has to be. I
It has
can't
to be.
issue a permit until we, yeah, I would hate, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
All right, so we have a recommendation. Can I have a motion to accept? Deputy Mayor Fisk, Councilor Caldwell, all in favor? Okay. Thank you. Moving on. Day of the seventh.
The next report is for multiple severances for Minto, B 2314 to B 2714. The subject property land is on Minto Street South in Clifford. All the parcels will have roadway access. The proposed 5 severances would create 5 severed lot and 1 retained lot. The retained parcel would have a frontage of 15 meters and an irregular depth of 71 to 121 meters. 4 of the proposed severed parcels would have a frontage of 15 meters with a depth of 50, and the 5th would be 16.4 meters width with a 50-meter depth. The properties are zoned future development. During the meeting, Public Works noted that water and sewer lateral services were installed during road construction 7 years ago for 5 lots and not 6. Entrance permits would be required for the proposed lots, and stormwater management will apply to proposed development, including construction and dedication of a stormwater retention pond that services multiple lots in the area. The stormwater design has been reviewed by BM Ross on behalf of the town, but final approval is required to enforce through a servicing agreement. Chief Building Official noted that the severed and retained lots are required to be rezoned to permit the proposed residential development. The Clerk's Department noted a park levy of $500 is applicable to the creation of each lot, and a frontage fee of a maximum of $221 per meter can be applied to the newly created lots. In this case, stormwater could be exempt from this charge. So as long as the appropriate conditions are included in the county's approval of the 5 applications, represents good planning as it allows for the residential infilling that takes advantage of existing services. Based on the proposed R16 zone under future zoning application and with the proposed reduction in the corner lot exterior side yard, it may be appropriate to create 6 lots instead of 5, depending on the developer's market choice. The proposed stormwater management plan will have to be implemented through a servicing agreement that would be signed with the town before the lots can legally be separated. This will provide for installing the pond that can also service the lots to the south. We did receive information also from the County of Wellington. They said it's consistent with the provincial plan, it conforms to the official plan. They have no concerns except for the following matters, is that safe driveway access to the satisfaction of the town. The owner transfers the lands identified in the sketch for the stormwater management area to the town of Minto, and that the lands are appropriately zoned to the satisfaction of the town of Minto. Recommendations are shown on there with 5 different conditions.
Councilor Elliott.
Again, I'm lost exactly where it is. I just, what's around it that I would know?
Okay. Basically, this here is Allen Street that goes from the outskirts of Clifford to the stoplight. The stoplight would be to the left.
You live
Actually-
on Allen Street?
No,
Oh,
Clark.
you live on Clark.
Greenleaf.
So
That's
here,
the one
yes,
that's-
That's going back to
there's
the
Highway
Indian
9.
Oh, out that way.
In this little one, this is Highway 9, that's Allen.
Okay,
Up is towards Mildmay Way, down is Harrison, and there's the lot there. You might recall, a year or 2 ago, we did a bunch of severances
Yeah.
across the unopened John Street. That was for Rick Murray. The stormwater management pond that Annaleen mentioned is actually addressing his stormwater needs as well as the Minto needs.
so that's back towards the arena, is that so?
No,
No, the other way.
The other way.
Other way, the opposite way?
Which road?
this is
Okay,
The arena's back here, this is heading to the Minto House,
Okay.
town
all right, all right, now,
The lights you can turn.
thanks. I just kept getting confused which way.
Whereabouts is the, water tower?
The
Pretty well
water
right.
tower is right down, no, down here.
Down there, yeah.
Do you know where your stuff is, buddy? It's down here.
Yeah, it's down, yeah, so it's so, because we did those lots again, you were talking about, they
Yeah.
needed stormwater management, they're up by,
Yeah, this here is Rick Murray's, and
Yeah.
then down further here is actually Stevers, if you recall
Right,
that one a few
yeah.
years ago, that's right beside the water tower.
Yeah.
Stevers, no, that's not a familiar name.
Okay, good, or no.
okay, good, all right.
Got it, thanks.
Deputy Mayor Fisk.
Through you, Mayor Bridge. Just wondering how much of an issue is it that we've only got laterals for 5 lots and we're making 6 lots? Is that a big problem, or?
You might want to come
Have
up,
to
Brian.
refer this to Brian.
I have a question on that too.
It is a bit of an issue. Nothing that can't be resolved, it's just that maybe somebody's service will go on an angle to service their lots, but it just depends on how it all works out.
So you'd have a Y maybe instead of a straight out?
Correct. Yeah. Problem is, it's run up to the property lines, so you'd have to cut it back a bit.
And I guess follow up to Deputy Mayor's question, it says in here, 100% of the water and sewage connection costs would be borne by them. So in other words, no additional cost to us because they've changed the rule.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's why I wondered if that meant that. So,
Yep.
so they have to work, we have to work as
With
best
us.
we can, and whatever additional costs to upgrade
To
those
make it work, yes.
would have to come from them.
Yeah.
That's what I was concerned about. That answers yours? Okay. Yep.
The second question is, what is the town's policy on frontage? I just can't get it through my brain that 45-foot frontage is appropriate.
Well, it's gotta be Terry.
Square, oh, go ahead, Terry.
Thanks, Brian.
It all depends on what the zone of the individual properties are. They're proposing the smallest low-density housing. 15 meters is the bare minimum under the current zoning bylaw.
Okay.
So that's what their proposal is to hit the R1C zone provisions. There was also mention about reduction in an exterior side yard setback. That's gonna be in this purple lot. Normally is 7.6 meters. They're proposing to their building envelope 3 meters.
So what would be the frontage if we approved 5 lots instead of 6?
Depending on the lot configuration and what they're gonna do with that exterior lot. Typically, those exterior lots are a lot larger. So the province's mandate is to intensify within the urban boundaries. So I know the county's gonna be all in favor in
Oh, yeah.
adding an additional lot.
Yeah.
Maybe Bill has something else to add.
I think, as I recall, these are 50-foot, and they would go to 60-foot if we only had 5 lots, basically.
So that'd be what we would deem as
Approximately.
normal.
But 50-foot wide lots are, for our standards, are relatively small, but for everybody else out there, that's pretty big.
Like Center Wellington, I think 35, are they?
35, 40s is average over there.
Average down there.
What you do start seeing though, from a streetscape end of things, is you see a garage and a front door and a little tiny window.
Yeah.
So that's the unfortunate thing with the intensification.
This is probably a good time to talk about frontage fees. You see mention of those in there. If this were a normal subdivision development, subdivider would pay for putting that sewer and water in. Under this scenario, under the fees you've approved, each of those new lots pays $221 per meter, so they're gonna pay about $3,000 back to the sewer and water for our investment in that infrastructure. So, they're being dealt with just like a regular subdivider would be. So that's part of the other part is they have to build that big pond in behind and to control the stormwater. So they have some infrastructure investments that they have to make. So that's why the smaller lots maybe are in order to help pay for their infrastructure costs. So it does change your community when you have to pay your fair share.
So, It's my understanding that the stormwater pond will be our responsibility. And will access be an issue there then, or?
We've already discussed access. We do have the John Street, and correct me if I say anything wrong, Brian. The proposal is to construct a laneway opposed to a road down the unopened John Street, and then have a driveway suited for trucks, like a sucker truck, to go in behind the houses for one, to maintain the pond, as well as this here is the outlet to Allen Street for that, that pond. And there may or may not be a couple of catch basins or manholes in there that we may need to maintain. So that is what the proposal is to date for access to it.
And all those expenses are the developer's expenses?
That's correct, yeah. And once they're all constructed to our satisfaction and engineers and all that, then we would accept ownership of it.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else?
Just so that you know, the servicing agreement that's recommended in condition 3, that would come back to you for approval. So in there, you can see what they're paying for
Right.
all their costs.
Okay. We have a recommendation. So you move it. Counselor Elliott, second by Counselor Hemley. All in favor? Opposed? No. Good. Off it goes. Oh, yep. Here we go. Look, this is the one I had to drive over to have a look at.
Same here.
Good luck.
So this report is multiple severances.
Getting confused.
It's for, yeah, both Sinclair and Prince. So the attached map shows an overall view of the 4 severance applications being considered, 3 of them being for Sinclair and 1 for Prince. If you'll note, with Sinclair, we're looking at lots E and F to be joined together to create a single parcel fronting on Main Street to permit the construction of a semi-detached dwelling. And then with Prince, we're looking at lots B and C to be joined together to create a single parcel fronting on York Street to permit the construction of a 5-unit dwelling. 504 and 512 Main Street are zoned mixed-use 2, while 130 York Street is zoned residential 2. Now, the back lot created by joining B and C is zoned in both categories, institutional and residential 2. Staff met, Public Works noted that there is access to sanitary sewer and waters for the 3 existing homes, and will not be impacted by the proposed severances. A new driveway is required for 512 Main Street following the demolition of a garage and a breezeway west of this house. The proposed semi-detached lots will have to connect to sanitary sewer and water mains and will require 2 new driveways to Main Street, and water is available to the proposed 5-unit lot. Sanitary sewers is available on York Street, but will have to be extended at the developer's cost to the proposed lot. A new driveway between 130 York and 504 Main Street will be needed for that 5-unit lot. Site plan approval will apply to the proposed 5-unit lot prior to the construction of a home to address access, building location, parking layout, buffering, stormwater management, and other requirements. Any new driveways will require entrance permits from either the town or the county, depending on their location. The chief building official noted that severances are needed to create the semi-detached lot on Main Street. Does not affect the zoning compliance for the existing homes at 504 and 512 on the retained lots. Frontage, side yard, rear yard, lot coverage, etc. Once the garage and breezeway are demolished at 512.
Which they are.
Severance from 130 York also complies with the zoning requirements for the lot frontage and side lots. And the proposed semi-detached lot has enough frontage and area once the lots E and F have been joined together to qualify for a development under the zoning bylaw. As rezoning will be required to address various site and building regulations that will apply to the development of the 5-unit lot, and site plan approval will be required. The CAO Clerk's Department noted that a park levy of $500 is applicable for the creation of the semi-detached lot as well as the 5-unit lot, and it's recommended that a $500 apply to both File B 2814 for the semi-detached lot and File B 2914 for the 5-unit lot. A frontage fee of a maximum of $221 per meter will be applied, or can be applied, to the newly created semi-detached lots and the newly created 5-unit lot where applicable, with funds going to sanitary, water and sewer, and storm sewer funds in recognition of the users of these services. This can be addressed with the town's normal financial conditions being applied to all services. The county should ensure that proper Planning Act sections apply to ensure that lots E and F are consolidated into a single parcel. Lots B and C become one parcel. Lots B, C, E, and F cannot be sold individually without a future severance.
What about that?
This has been a really fun one.
Yeah.
So as long as the appropriate conditions are included in the county's approval for the four applications, the overall proposal seems to represent a good planning as it allows for residential infilling and takes advantage of existing services. Creating new rental housing, of course, is important to ensure that there's a variety of types in the municipality. Traffic movement on York Street and Main should not be compromised by the slot creations. The recommendations are there, as well as the conditions. There are 7 of them. The planners have sent some information, which I did set on your desks. We just received it the other day. For B28, they said safe driveway access, and that consent application B29 is approved. For B29, that the garage is removed. That consent B2814 is approved. That the purchasers take title to the severed lands in the same manner as they hold their budding lands. And that subsection 53 of the Planning Act be applied to any subsequent conveyance or any transaction involving the parcel of land that is the subject of this consent. For B3014, that safe driveway access and servicing can be provided to the satisfaction of the town, and that consent application B3114 is approved. And for B3114, that consent of B30 is approved. That the purchaser take title to the severed lands in the same manner as they hold, and subsection 50 of the Planning Act be applied to any subsequent conveyance. Could go on forever, so I think I'll just stop on that.
So what did you say?
Okay, believe it or not, this is the easiest way to explain all these applications is to condense it in one. I'll just kind of show you visually what's going on.
Yeah,
You're probably
and
answering
then
my
we'll answer
question.
the
We're doing
questions.
this.
So far, we got, take the mic with you. Let us hear that voice from a distance.
Hi, and they'll see my back. Okay, so right now we've got 3 existing parcels. So we've got this one here is 504. We have this one here, so this pink and the green is 512, as well as this purple, so it's a huge lot. Just for reference point, this here is the high school parking lot, the students' parking lot. And this one here, these two, the green and the purple, are Tyler Prince's lots. So the game plan is to move this property boundary to here, which cuts off that breezeway and the garage, which are gone now. There's actually a garage being constructed over on this side, as well as this purple parcel being removed from that. This 504 on the corner here, the proposal is to move the property line from here to over here, creating a lot that's big enough for a semi-detached that's fronted off of Main Street. Then the game plan is to take this triangular shape here off of Tyler's property, merge it with this for a 5-unit apartment building in the back here. Yes, yeah. So these 2 parcels here are being merged together to create one, and the purple is to make one as well. The way that Annalene colored it up is the border color itself is the boundary of the existing parcels, whereas the internal color is what's going to happen if these severances are approved. Zoning wise, these guys here are zoned MU2, which permits the semi here as well as the existing singles. This is an R2 here and you'll see this, I believe, coming up at the next council meeting, is a rezoning application to rezone these 2 parcels. This chunk here, for some odd reason, is still zoned institutional. So the plan is to rezone both of these from the R2 and institutional into an R3, which would permit density higher than a 5-unit, but 5 would be the starting point for that. So hopefully that's clear.
Councillor Caldwell first, and then Councillor Paul.
Just when we drove over to look at it, the width of the lighter purple, the pink, on Main Street, the semi,
Yep.
it didn't seem wide enough for us for a semi, but what,
Visually wise, when you're there, it's a little bit deceiving because the properties are laid out with the existing property lines. This guy here is actually only 6 feet. The new property line is only 6 feet off of this existing aluminum sided building, whereas like a lot of the trees are over in this area. Like I believe there's a line of trees here, so visually, you think the property line is gonna be here, but it's way over.
Oh, okay.
I can't read the numbers here for the frontage, I don't know if you can. 66. So that's, if you think about it, Milton Siler Crescent, the semis that are in there are all 66 footers. So it's giving a building width of, yeah, ballpark 29 feet wide from the center line of the semi to the outside wall. They are obviously going to be smaller than Ron's concerns with the single family, but that's the intent of a semi. So it's, there's room there, it'll work, it meets zoning, it meets the setbacks for the existing, so.
And the driveway getting into the fiveplex again?
The driveway is going to be off of here. The frontage listed here is 7.2 meters, so you're looking at ballpark 20 feet. Typical double driveway entrance is around 18 feet, so it will squeeze in here. The game plan is to fence the outside of the property, just for aesthetics for the people that may live there, as well as to mitigate any concerns with the neighbors. Typical R3 zone would require it. However, it would only require it along this property boundary here. The plan, at least this is all very, very conceptual, is to have the fiveplex up kind of on, like, I believe this is Edge Automotive on that side of the property, and then have parking lot, which would complement the students' parking lot on the other side. Just so you kind of contain the uses more or less as one.
Sorry, Councillor Faulkner had a question, but I think I took.
Sure, okay.
But yeah, mine was a two-parter, actually. That
Okay,
was the
two-parter.
first part.
Okay, good.
The second part is York Street comes in and borders the high school. You don't see that as an issue on that corner with that driveway coming right out? 'Cause
Not.
that's kind of a wee bit of a curve there.
Yeah, there is a slight, definitely a slight bend to the road here. You're talking 5 units. So, you know, on the outside, zoning wise, they'd need 8 parking spots.
And just review the width of the entrance and exit.
7-point-something meters?
We got 7.2 meters, which is roughly 20 feet. In our zoning bylaw, we don't have any sort of requirements in terms of
No
what,
setback or
23
anything?
feet.
sorry?
You don't need so many feet from curb to,
No. To buildings, yes, not from property lines to driveways. Like I was going to mention, our zoning bylaw doesn't have a minimum driveway width. I typically go with, or recommend, what's the width of a parking space itself. So if they were proposing a single driveway going in, so only one car could go in, nobody could go out, you're looking at 9 feet. If for convenience sake and all that, if you're looking at double, so it's 18. So you do have a 1-foot buffer on each side. Complaint-wise, a couple of things to think about. This dude here is selling that for this purpose. He's aware of it. Dan owns both of these currently. I believe he's got somebody interested in buying both. They're aware of what's going on. To what extent, I don't know. But it's not like a multi-res development is unknown and it's just trying to get dropped in there.
In addition, the rezoning is needed, so there'll be a public meeting on that and
Anybody
site
else?
plan approval from council. So you'll be able to see in great detail where that entrance will come out. And the good news is it's on the outside of that curb, so your sight lines are good. If you're on the other side and it was going behind you, you can't see around behind you, but it'll be all right there, I think.
What's the look of the fiveplex? Is it like a lengthways, is it up?
I just saw a building, well, even a rough sketch building envelope. It was a rectangle. So what is design-wise, it's way too prelim.
You don't know.
I couldn't even tell you that.
It's gonna be like an apartment or something?
Yeah, it could be split up into condos too, but that's something that would be done down the road.
I wondered if it was like with those apartments where, those senior apartments in Palmerston where the apartments and the garage and
There's not a proposal that I'm aware of to have a garage, but like I said, it's way too early to, I can't even comment.
There's fiveplexes down without garages.
Yep, yeah, but yeah, it could be done, and it could very well be a market-driven decision. I don't know where the focus is on terms of who's gonna rent it. Seniors really want them, but, yeah.
Any other questions?
Just a comment, that's, zone institutional?
This back section is yes.
I'm assuming when Norwell bought the property back there, the house that, St. Clair's working on was Liz Johnson's place, and she was a school teacher. And I'm wondering if somehow that property got added on to her, I don't know, I'm just.
How she got it?
Yeah, how she got that, because there used to be a garage at the back there, and I think at one time, the high school kept stuff in that garage on her property, so I'm wondering if somebody put that fence up and they just automatically got that piece of property and it was never ever changed.
A few years ago, before a couple of predecessing owners, I had concerns, the way that our GIS system shows it, and zoning maps and everything, it shows that this is actually part of the
Yeah.
Norwell. But I had to trace, going by your bearings and your lengths and all that, exactly where the property boundaries were, and that's definitely accurate. So it's not like it was just
Yeah.
added to your property, it's definitely deeded to 512.
Okay.
But zoning-wise, that could,
Any no other
Could vary.
questions? We have recommendations. We want to approve the recommendation. Counselor Hemley, Deputy Mayor Fisk, all in favor? Carries. Excuse them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lots of.
Well, thank
lots
you
of
for
great-
that long-winded speech.
I'm not sure whether I heard everything.
What was that B12 thing again, or was that vitamins, or?
And I'm going to turn it over to CEO Bill White for the next one.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. This is a staffing update report. As was quite apparent here not too long ago, we have a maternity leave pending, and Belinda was back too, so we're dealing with maternity leave on top of leave. This report is just simply to summarize that we would be continuing on with internal reassignments and extending the contract of our front receptionist to deal with the maternity leave. So that will handle the workload that will carry on once Mandy does go on leave. During Belinda's leave, I think it's been relatively seamless, so staff is very happy with how things were able to move forward. I think that's a credit to Mandy and all the staff who kind of rallied around, and we propose to do the same thing during this leave. And we were able to do it without impacting the budget at all. So certainly recommend that we carry on with that direction. In addition to that, we had discussed earlier on this year, or late last year, the source water protection obligations that we have coming forward. Mentioned in the report that in those two plans that we're lucky enough to have to enforce will be in effect either late this year or early next year at the latest. We did receive $115,000 in funding in order to implement that, and we have to utilize that funding through next year. Our proposal is to do that internally as well, and to hire a risk management inspection support person to help the CBO take over that work. And so that position, we've done a detailed job description for it, and if council is okay with that approach, we would be posting that internally. It would be funded out of the water and sewer budget, and of course the grant would offset those costs in the first 2 years of that position, but after that, it would be within the water and sewer budget that would be funded. That's to meet mandated obligations under the new source water protection planning process. I know we were quite active as a council on this over your whole term, just about, and we did manage to secure some sizable funding to help us out with that. And that's a credit to your diligence on that issue, because I'm not quite sure the province really knew how they were going to implement those plans, but I think by asking that question, they were able to come up with something that's workable. The risk management official has been hired at the county, and that is a single county person that will coordinate the work of the risk management inspector. So we're lucky enough that Terry is trained up in this work, and he can, with the help of this new position, provide that services on our behalf. So that'll involve a variety of things, like going out into those, remember those orange areas around your water towers that are the source of your water water source, negotiating issues and risk management plans with some of those landowners to make sure that our source water is not impacted. So it's gonna be challenging work, and it's important work that we meet our mandated requirements under the Source Water Protection Acts. The next thing that came to light is in here for further discussion, and that's the area of bylaw enforcement. Our part-time inspector has very recently obtained a job with another municipality, and while we're reluctant to see him leave, that's an excellent opportunity for him. So we're entering into some preliminary discussions with you here this afternoon about how we move forward on the bylaw services. There's lots of opportunities and options for doing that. Some municipalities share bylaw services. Some municipalities can move it in with fire inspection services. There's private groups out there that'll do it. There's lots of options to talk about. Just while we're at that, we're also planning for the assumption of the water sanitary plant operations from Center Wellington in January 1st of next year. And with that, there'll be new reporting obligations in that area. So what I'm asking council to do when we look at these issues is to think about where we want to go as a structure in the coming months. Our recommendation to you at this point in time is that we backfill with existing staff persons, extend the contract of our front office support on the maternity leave question, and that we come back to you on the issue of that we post the building assistant source water protection position and get that filled here in order to meet our mandates under those acts, and that we report back to you on what we're going to do with bylaw and in those services that we need to do. It's an opportunity for us to have another look at the structure. You've accomplished a lot in your term in the staffing end of things. You restructured recreation, you restructured public works. You went to a single management personnel, CAO type structure. So a lot has been done. We have needs growing, either mandated or non-mandated, but mostly mandated from the province. And I think our structure, we'll need to have a look at that before your term ends and leading into next year.
Recommendation. Council receives the report. Any questions? Deputy Mayor Fisk.
I'm just wondering if, I don't know if Terry or Bill can tell us about how many hours a month would be required for bylaw enforcement. I'm sure it fluctuates from month to month, but a ballpark figure.
I haven't actually even thought about, right now the position is combined with building inspection services as well. So I haven't kept track of time or even thought too much about how much a dedicated person would be. Right now we're getting the typical spring complaints with the snow melting and stuff becoming visible. So like it's all across the map as to exactly how busy you are at a given time. So that I can definitely come back when we're looking at that position with some numbers for you. Obviously you'll want to know that.
Sure. Budget-wise, for the rest of this year, we have about $16,000 that would not be spent if we don't replace that person, but I don't want to say to you in terms of bylaw, we could keep up with all your priorities without doing something. Because while it was a part-time position, like the CBO says, these things are seasonal, they crop up, and there's nothing worse than not having a response when a complaint comes in. So we have to have a solution for you, and CBO and I and other staff will be coming back with more information.
Anything else? Recommendation moved by Councilor Faulkner, Councilor Elliott, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. And then Bill, you're still on board here.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. Very briefly, we had a request from the Harrison Food Bank, and that is attached to the report, asking that this group, which is a non-incorporated group, it's not a non-profit group yet, is a series of individuals with the support of the Whites Road Pentecostal Church, wanting to move forward with the food bank work that Bev May had done in in Hairston. Staff has looked at this, at least in a preliminary way, and feels that the space would be useful for the food bank. I think it would be a good spot for it. Our facilities manager has looked at it as well. We don't have an entity that we can sign a lease with, so what we would be looking at is these group of people, I guess, falling under our volunteers, would volunteer to use our space for that particular purpose. So the terms that I've thrown out there in the report, that it's leased as is, that there's some control over the hours of operation, that we look for the food bank being there for 3 years with an option to council to extend it further, and that if council finds some other use that must go in there, we would give the group at least 3 months' notice that the space is required for other purposes. That we would provide the lead pastor for the church with the keys to the facility, and that they would work with our facilities manager on access in and out, and that they don't alter the premises without facilities manager's consent. They do the cleaning and upkeep of the floor space, and I think shoveling the front drive would be appropriate, at least for them to do that. And we need a list of who is volunteering there so we can provide that to our insurance carrier. The dance academy in the theater space is in need of some storage. With the renovation to the restroom in that facility, there may be some loss of storage. I know the facilities manager had been working with the two groups on that issue, and in speaking to the group on conference call, they're more than willing to offer up space for storage if in fact there is a viable option inside the old OPP space. So I think we have all groups willing to work together. I think the facility managers had those conversations with them. So it's our recommendation that we move forward with this and allow the food bank to occupy that space on those terms as outlined. Questions?
The local, do they not have to answer to a head office in Guelph or someplace in the county or province? There has to be some control there someplace, I would think. I thought that Clifford and Palmerston, for instance, have to fall under certain criteria, and somebody establishes that criteria. It isn't just.
Gary, you were working with that group, but I think, can you answer that? I think I have an answer, but maybe you're a little closer to it.
Yeah, I think what happens with Clifford and Palmerston is they have an arrangement, or they pay a fee to the food bank in Kitchener or Waterloo. Food Hub, is that what it's called?
Yep.
So they go there and they can get a lot of their supplies.
Oh, okay.
But I think that's as far as it goes, yeah, I don't think there's a provincial food bank or organization that oversees all food banks. I think everyone is individually run by volunteers. I think that's how it works, and it seems to work reasonably well, so why bother changing if it's, you know.
And as far as the county goes, I mean, they don't have a working relationship with the county per se. They don't.
I didn't mean the county.
Well, no, but that was the other group that I know that, because I always thought there might be some kind of connections, because a lot of the county social services needs, they seem to come to the food bank, but there's no working relationship there where they can say, well, that person gets it, or, so, yeah, and I don't think there's any other than the food hub. That's the only thing I can remember. I think it's a great project going forward with this group's, I mean, in your article, it talked about Bev May, and Bev did an amazing job for all those years, and her sidekick, Mrs. Frank, and I mean, I'm still seeing Miss Frank, and she's in her 80s, and Bev's in everyone, like, there's your assistant, and they both, you'd wonder how they managed to keep up all these years. So it's great that this group's coming forward, and I think it's good that we can offer a little bit of a space for them. So they're looking at outreach programs as well, and they want to get a little bit more active in maybe with community gardens, and the fact that maybe a community kitchen down the road to show people how to cook food. And so having an organization like that now behind them, rather than unfortunately just have one person like Bev doing it all, and Mrs. Rank, they want to do a little bit more of that. So it kind of toes in nicely with what some of the things we're going to be doing as far as the community gardens and those types of things. So I'm really excited about the fact that we're able to offer them this space. recommendations there, moved by Deputy Mayor Fisk, second by Councilor Caldwell, all in favor? Great, good. I'll talk to you about that snow removal, because right now that's, Willie does that.
Oh, Willie's got that.
Yeah, he's already got that, so I mean, you're gonna be tipping on his
I
toes
don't
there.
want to do that.
So I would say that we'd probably leave him just do that, because he does it for the dance academy. I believe that, am I not right, Brian? Correct. Yes, we already have a snow removal guy. Okay, so we're good. I'll turn it over to Councilor Caldwell to assume the chair.
Okay, and finance only has one item on the agenda tonight. Treasurer Duff will go over the accounts with us, and particularly administration, I'm
Sure.
sure.
All right.
When it's tax time.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Thanks, Mayor Cole. Yeah, not too much at this meeting. So we have large dollar value, but it's relatively simple because of the 1,897,000 in admin. The 1,780,000 is our quarterly payments to the school boards and the county. So yeah, and another 27,000 on one of our debt payments, interest. So we have a lot of them. Other than that, we paid the volunteer fire insurance. That was just under 12,000, and we've done that for a few times. I guess last summer they had to touch the truck, so they bought the confined space equipment for 4,200, and not too many fuel bills in this run. So next one you'll sure a lot more. Yeah. So all good so far.
Are there any questions or comments on the accounts? No, then the recommendation is the Council of the Town of Minto receives the Treasurer's report dated March 21st, 2014 regarding approval of accounts, and approves the Town of Minto accounts by department for March 2014. May I have someone make that motion? Mayor Bridge, seconded by Councilor Faulkner. All in favor? Thank
Thanks.
you very much. That was easy.
Big bucks, so come on, you
And
guys.
I guess I'll go back and take the chair over and be Councilor Turton, because he's not here.
That's
and
fair.
There you go, Brian, you wanna take this?
Yeah, well, once again, we got some stop sign issues. During an annual check, the town staff found an intersection at corner of Mary and Street Henry Lane in Palmerston. And the intersection requires a controlled three-way stop. To clarify right-of-way, according to Ontario Traffic Manual, the attached map shows at the back there, shows you the existing stop sign in red, and 2 additional stop signs are required, which are shown in yellow. So basically, we're asking that Town of Minto receives the road foreman's report regarding stop sign additions for Mary Street and Henry Lane in Palmerston, and considers a bylaw and Schedule A at the upcoming council meeting. Pretty straightforward.
Questions?
You said
That's the other way.
this is, like, you need to do this, like, this is a law thing, or a?
Yes, it is.
Is that right?
It falls under the Ontario Traffic Manual Book 5.
So basically what happens is if somebody has an accident there, a lawyer, a smart lawyer can say, well, you had one stop sign, but not
Well,
write them
the
now.
key word there is smart lawyer, so.
Yeah. Well, that could be, but, or a lawyer.
It helps during
Okay. Well, no, I
the
just, I'm just curious.
mitigation and stuff that,
We had a resident also, if I may, Mr. Chair, asked that this be put in. He had a close call.
Okay.
I can't recall the gentleman's name, but he was actually in last week asking.
Yeah.
So I think he's looking forward to the stop signs going in.
it's similar to the other ones we've done too, so.
Okay. Recommendation, moved by Councilor Elliott, second Councilor Caldwell, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, Brian.
Okay.
I have a question for Brian, if I could, 'cause I know it's kind of out of order. Do you want me to wait till question period, or?
Well, you can actually, you want to do it in other
Sure,
items?
Sure.
I suppose, and then we'll finish
Yep.
this off, and
Yep,
then,
That was
does
what,
that
that
make
was what I
sense?
had for my,
Yeah.
for my other thing.
Okay, we'll drag them up again.
Yeah,
Okay.
Like, just, as you're walking there though, Brian, that one lane though, because there's 2 houses back there, at one point that was just a lane way.
Yeah.
Like when,
But it's a road.
when Thule
Is it open?
sold that property at the back there to,
Oh, I see.
what was your names? They moved out.
But it's still, I still think it's an open street, but they
It's
maintain,
an open road allowance.
but they,
Okay.
they
Yeah.
maintain it and they pay for plowing?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, they do. That's the mayor,
Yeah, we don't,
And
it's
that's why I was asking.
no
about-
winter maintenance.
Yeah, like, that's why I was asking about the stop sign, because I
Since we do
remember
that.
when they put that house back there, that was just a lane, that was a driveway back to
Oh,
their
okay.
house.
But I think it was an open road, always been an open road, and
Okay.
they put the driveway back because they wanted it. But at that time, there was an agreement that they would maintain it and we wouldn't open.
I know that we don't maintain the winter.
Okay.
during-
When we put a stop sign there, the obligation become ours to maintain it.
It's on open road allowance, so it falls under the traffic act. It's still maintained as, or actually is a road.
Was it
So-
Sparky or Dick that, Mark Grimm or Richard Holder?
I didn't know there was a
Richard's on
close
the
call
corner,
there
right?
either, so.
Yeah,
Richard's
and
on the
Mark
corner.
Graham's on the other corner, just curious if it was one
Yeah,
of
one-
those guys.
I can't remember.
Okay. No, just curious. Because-
I'm not even sure. who
We
lives
don't
there.
charge the individual for this sign, do we?
No,
No, it's our sign.
yeah, it's our signs, yeah.
Okay. I seem to recall there was something about signs and that way back when, that's when we first came on that street.
Yeah, no, sorry I brought that up, because I just remember.
Unless it was the paving or whatever, we did a paving job there, did we not?
Well, I think we're short $5,400 from the one gentleman that
Is
skipped
that-
town.
There was something about that anyways, that's.
Yeah.
not this.
Yeah, he was, the agreement.
The signs are about a couple $100 a piece, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, the agreement was to be paved, and, I think we went ahead and paved it, and we forgot to collect the funds from the gentleman.
Is that charged yet?
Fun stuff I never.
I could put an
Pardon me?
APB out on them.
Car and chip.
thanks, Brian. Okay, additional items. Oh, I guess you, if you want, wait, now we can, wait till I get him sitting down. Let him get sitting down first, and then call him back. What's your,
I changed my mind.
doing that?
I did mention this to Brian, so I thought I'd bring it up, and just so we could bring it to the public. I got a phone call about potholes
Yep.
on Mary Street, and I didn't comment because I didn't think it was my position, but I assume if you look around and drive around the streets, and even you walk around the streets, there's potholes, the winter's just kicked
I
the
think
heck
you,
out
I
of
can think
all
you
our
can find a
roads and-
pothole on just about
and-
every street.
I want to be able to respond to them and tell them that we are doing this, or what's the plan on fixing these?
On behalf of Brian, because of the cold weather, the wet weather, and
Yep.
putting down the cold patch, like, even if you did patch the holes. like,
It gets
I-
blown out again.
Yeah, I'm kinda waiting for Brian to give us that information, so I can
And
pass
we,
that on. that
we have
are-
been putting cold mix in, and like Rick says, it does get blown back out.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have that heat to help
Okay.
it set in, but we've been filling them in and they've been pounding back out, so.
Okay,
And now, we're just gonna have to wait for the warmer weather, but we're keeping on filling them. And
you try, and
We
I've
try our
seen that you
best,
filled
yes.
them, and, so, okay, I wanted to have that from you, and I wanted to report that, and I think it's important that the people in the town of Minto know, it won't be just Palmerston.
Oh,
I'm
no.
sure there'll be every
All three
community probably in
towns.
Ontario right now that's taking a beating on and that you people are going to move forward as quick as you can to fix them, and,
Yep. Yep.
you'll make that street a priority, so.
Yeah,
I'll
like I
have
said, we've been
phone
out a
call
few
again.
times. Yep,
If you get the chance, so,
you bet.
all right,
Just while you're there, I think, and it's good to bring it up, Counselor Elliott, but I think all of us around this table, I know I've had calls. I mean, and what you have to explain to people is, there's a limitation what you can do, and definitely this cold patch situation. In fact, I asked the county, and they've got a hot patch thing that they use, and I've got the information on that, Brian, I'll give it to you, but it's expensive.
Yeah,
But-
it comes, I was already talking to
Were
them.
you talking to them?
Yeah.
Because I thought, because when I was talking to one of our workers out there, they're almost frustrated because they're getting callbacks the next day on the same patch they just did. And, I mean, how much time and effort can we do, and how much dollars do we have?
That's right.
People have to wait it, and hopefully, you understand you're living in Canada, you're living in the north. I was out to Winnipeg, and they've got, you think we have problems, their whole road is a big hole. And I thought that twice the cabbie I was gonna lose myself in one of those holes. So I appreciate, we all should be telling our taxpayers best we can, we're gonna look at them, and the danger ones we'll try to deal with.
That's right.
But it's sort of like anything else, we're gonna have to wait it out a little bit.
And that
That's
new,
why I thought we were in a big public now instead
And
of
it was a
me
good idea.
talking-
It was a
talking
good
to
idea,
every-
Ron,
Every
and
person that calls,
yeah.
and I'm sure we're all concerned, and not everyone knows that a road can't be fixed till it's warm, and
yeah, until you.
I took that assumption, but that's not my job, so.
And the product that, Mayor is talking about comes out of the States is like $18 a bag.
Yeah, it's expensive.
It's good stuff, but it's expensive, very expensive.
It's more for those major roadway situations where, you know.
High traffic
high
volume area.
traffic or whatever, but our back roads, we have to kind of wait
Yeah.
it out.
Thanks.
And the people have to appreciate the winter we've had. This has been
Yeah,
extreme.
it's been
compared to-
excessive.
Snowmobilers and the skiers do appreciate it, you're right, Mary Lou.
That's great.
Anyways,
And the only reason I made that comment, Brian, was that I have worked in public works for 4 years as a younger man.
and you
So
filled
I-
a few of those.
And
Yeah.
and I had some phone calls, people stopped me on the streets, and I just told them, be patient with us.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Thanks.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks.
You say.
Hey,
I'll
and
wait till you go.
I've got my
in.
list here. Who else? Terry, did you have something, or was it Ron? Ron first?
First of all, I'd like to remind everyone about the Maitland Valley
Right.
Conservation Banquet and auction on Friday, April the 11th. I have some tickets here for those that are able to go. It's a busy night. I know there's some other events on that night, but again, you know, we talked earlier about how important conservation is, and things like this help support their projects, so. Anyway, I have tickets. What I may do is, if it's all right, is leave them out front, and if, I don't know if staff might be interested, but there's that. The other one is, and I'm assuming everybody got the letter from the Historical Society?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask about that.
Yeah, I think we need to talk about that and deal with that. I think, I don't think that's an unreasonable request, and
No,
I think maybe we should be getting a refund as a municipality from the county as well.
Okay, yeah,
well, Gordon, old boy.
we already are.
Vested interest this one? Yes, I've phoned Bob Brown, who wrote the letter, and it's kind of like, as you say, a bit of a waterfall effect. So in the lease that the town of Minto has with the county of Wellington, the mayor and I looked this up because I believe Scott Wilson said, it's all covered in the lease, and so it is. Clause 12.1, if we can't reasonably occupy it, then we get a rebate. So what we're going to do is, at the town of Minto, and I'm going to confirm this with the county treasurer next week, we're going to pay for 9 months in 2014, and then in turn, we'll charge the groups, the Historical Society and the Arts Council, 9 months as well, because really they were out of it for at least 9 months, and the library was out of commission for a good deal too, so.
Yeah, and when this came about, when we looked at it, they had talked to me about it, and I said, give us a letter, because it's good, because they're our tenant, and basically, we have to deal with the county, so that's how we had followed through with it. So I think we're in good ground
I think so.
for that rebate, and then we'll be able to give it to, and I believe the lights are in now, and they're actually moving, they've got the other lights that were came out, so the county did put the new lights in for the Historical Society, and those lights are now moving over to the Minto Arts Council because they're brand new lights, tracking lights, and they didn't have new lights, so we got a little bonus out of it, but it's been a frustration for both groups, and I think that definitely is, I don't think we're gonna have a problem from what I gather. from
No,
what we
I
looked at.
think it's quite reasonable, so.
Yeah.
It's
So
good.
we're following up on her.
Very good, thank you.
Yep.
Two things I have. First of all, for the IPM 2016, the executive is in high gear, and there's been a lot of things accomplished, and I'll bring a more detailed report at another council meeting.
You're all choked up about it, it's good,
Yeah.
buddy. It's all good, it's all good.
The main thing, and just to let you know that we will be looking for a storefront or something to have as a head office type deal. And so if any ideas on that, please let me know. The opening of the fire hall this Saturday at 10:30. I would encourage as many people to attend that as possible. I'm really proud of the, not only the work the fire department does, but also of how this new building or renovations turned out. And Mayor Bridge and Fire Chief have done a lot of work negotiating and getting furniture for that new, place at a very, very reasonable price. And the county helped us out big time on that, so, encourage everybody to come for the opening, grand opening of our, newly renovated fire hall on April the 5th at 10:30 a.m.
I think the speeches are at 12:30.
12:30.
Sorry,
12:30.
12:30.
That was
You said 10:30.
12:30.
It's 11 to whatever, but
12:30. 12:30. Where's the camera?
That's it.
12:30, please. Yeah.
Saturday, this Saturday.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just one more thing.
Oh, I don't know, Rob.
I just wanted to talk about that, just for a minute to make some clarification. There was some concerns, this is to do with recreation. Our arena, as you know, the 81s, or maybe you don't know, the 81s hockey team are in the finals of the championship for senior AA hockey, and they're drawing really good crowds, and it's really doing a proud thing for the town of Minto. But they do play most of their games out of Palmerston, and the arena and staff have, as we agree to, leave the ice in until such time that our clubs are all through playing. There seemed to be a bit of a conflict of time, although there's all kinds of times available for the needs of the club to be able to meet the needs of their hockey players and such like. Our staff bent over backwards to try and create time for the 81s as much as they could. Really only one major conflict that there was, and it's a major user of our facilities, so it wasn't going to be available one Friday night. And I'm not sure whether that's the Friday night or not, but the 81s are taking their club to Mount Forest to play one of the final games, which takes quite a bit of revenue out of our facility. And I'm a little disappointed in the fact that that it costs us money to keep that arena open. And we do, because it's part of our community, and we would like to get some of that cost back, but we're not able to. But it's not their fault necessarily either. They have to meet commitments of their players, and their players have to be there to be able to play. So I did hear rumor out in the street, and I've had actually people speak to us that we weren't being fair to the 81s, and we didn't offer them the times we needed. In fact, that's not the case, and I'm sure the 81s will back us up on that situation. We tried to work with the time to try and work it out, but it just couldn't be done for that one date. And so they're in Mount Forest, and it's not for reason of anyone's. We're not trying to deter them from playing. We'd love to have them. Like I said, financially, it's better for us to have them in our community playing to try and offset some of the costs it keeps for keeping the arena open. But also, I understand that they've got to operate their club in the best knowledge that they can. So that's why they took their one game to Mount
And Forest. just to help Ron out, the group that does have it booked for that Friday night is a long-standing group in our
And
community,
that
and they
week-
do it every year at the same time.
That weekend.
And so it's been a number of years doing that, so, like Ron said, we try to accommodate them if they choose to go
And
over with us.
there's 500 people. It's the agricultural stag, and there's 500
No,
people
the,
attend that. so.
preceding.
Yes, and it certainly don't use the ice, but the auditorium is being used by them, and the washrooms are being used by them, and it's just, if the 81s had that, they couldn't have a bar with it, and it was just, it's not feasible for them to be there that way.
Thanks, Ron. Yeah, the rumors can get out there. That segues me nicely into my thing, which is a great opportunity to, and I've got a couple of I've got one of the coach and a player here tonight. The 2014 Ontario Municipal Hockey League Tournament consolation champions was the Minto team. And they lost to County Wellington 3-2 in their first game, beat Meaford 3-2 in game number 2, Wasaga Beach 4-3 in the semifinal, and 4-3 over Woolwich in the final. And we have Mike Orth, Matt Lubers, Ryan Cherry, Travis McFadden, Devin Geiger, Jeremy Metzger, Steve, friend of Brian's, ringer, I guess, I don't know. Couple of ringers. Carissa, the only female playing in the tournament. Doug Quigley, Cole Cherry, Cody Hanson, Barry Trod, Rick, friend of Brian's, coaches were Brian and Ryan Hill. So I've got a nice picture, but I also have, they gave me a hat for being the mayor, I guess, I don't know. If I can get the two of them up here, we'll give them their big, we're hanging this banner up here. It's a great looking hat, actually. So we wanna bring you up here to present you the banner that we can hang up on our rafters here, I guess, or something like that. I don't know where we'll present them, but here, there you go.
Would you fold it up in your pocket?
So there it is. I'll just turn it around this way, show the troops. So there's your proud team. There you go.
I need the
Any speeches or anything? Oh, we're gonna do a picture? Okay. All right. Yeah, all right.
Give him a hug.
Yeah, give him a hug, right?
Whack. He needs a hug. Okay.
You know what they do in basketball? They need elbow to the head.
Good. Great, thank you. Great job.
That's rejection.
Well, then that leads me to my segue. You need to call the mayor up in Kamoka, and I think the loser will be wearing the team
Oh,
sweater
yeah, we
at
could
the
do
first
that.
council meeting.
I'll get on that.
Can you give him a
Yes.
call?
I will give him a call.
Excellent.
I don't know who he is.
Well,
or-
they'll have to wear our sweater, there's no doubt.
Good thinking, good thinking. Okay, what we got here? That's it. Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Deputy Mayor Fisk, the Committee of the Whole convenes the Town of Minto Council. All in favor? Carried. I think I lost my pen here somewhere. Oh, any notices of motion? Moved by Deputy Mayor Fisk, second by Councilor Caldwell, the Committee of the Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the Committee of the Whole. All in favor? Moved by Councilor Hamley, second by Councilor Elliott. We didn't sign it. I'll get you to sign this one.
I didn't sign it.
No, sorry, we must have got that one by you somehow.
Who gave that to me?
That would have been,
Henry?
no, not me. Who just passed them around?
Okay.
Brad?
That bylaw number 2014-20 being the bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign a lease with 2323004 Ontario Inc. respecting Unit 3 at 1 Laura Street, Harris, to be the purpose of launch it, Minto, be introduced and read in first, second, and third time, passed in open council, and sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor? Okay. Moved by Councilor Faulkner, second by Deputy Mayor Fisk, the bylaw number 2014-21 being the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the April 1, 2014 committee and council meeting be introduced and read in first and second and third time, passed in open council, and sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councilor Caldwell, second by Councilor Hamley, the Council of Town of Minto adjourns to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor? Thank you for a good meeting.
Thank you.
And thank you. Blair's Bantam AAA team beat London today 3-1.
Oh, good.
They were